Do you struggle with what's called forgiveness? Are you confused on the subject of forgiveness? Have you been confounded in today's society when you are bombarded with the word forgiveness? If you have been struggling to understand what is really happening, if you have been struggling with the topic of forgiveness or the subject of forgiveness or the feelings of forgiveness or the thinking of what you've been told forgiveness is, then this is a show you do not want to miss. Welcome to today's show. This is the Abike Speaks Show, and I am your host, Abike. Stay tuned. Who she be? What they say? What they say? Who she be? Who she think she is? Queens and princesses, it's time for us to take the helm, discard the rest, so we can shine through and be our best. Time for us to rise and shine, so we can break through, baby, just fine. I just want you to know today it's the Abike Speaks Show. It's the Abike Speaks Show. It's the Abike Speaks Show. Hey, yes. All right. Thank you. And again, welcome to today's show. This topic is about forgiveness. I really do want those who struggle with forgiveness to have an understanding in their mind of what they are truly struggling with. Because you see, deep down inside, what you're truly struggling with is truth. You know that you're not being told the correct information, yet you're being pulled by different directions, by different voices, by different people, and with the manipulation of religion on what forgiveness is, on how you should forgive, and who you should forgive. And you struggle. You struggle. And the reason why there's a struggle is because you see a lack of what you call genuine progress. I'm sorry. You see a lack of truth. You see a lack of understanding. And so you struggle. And even though people tell you about forgiveness, such things as, oh, well, people sin. We've all fall short of the glory. Inside of your mind, you struggle, right? Because you say, I understand that, but that doesn't excuse you to continue to hurt, continue to harm, continue to lie, continue to defraud. That doesn't excuse you to continue to do these evil behaviors unto me. And I have to sit here and continue to forgive you. So you struggle, right? And then there's another side of the equation where you say, well, I can forgive you, but I'm going to forgive you over there. And then there's another side of the equation where you're told that these are your brothers and these are your sisters and that you should have compassion. Well, I'm going to hit on all this information today because I think it's pertinent that you understand how our society defines the word forgiveness. Now, remember, there are three words put together: for, give, and ness. And you need to understand what each of those words represent and how they are represented. You also need to understand that your culture, your society is designed to make you think and make you feel what it wants you to think and feel. Now, with all that being said, even though there is permeate and privilege and all kinds of deception in our society, does that mean that we don't need to forgive? Well, I'm going to touch on that. And so let's get straight to the point. So I wanted to go to the dictionary because I wanted to see how our society defined forgiveness. Also, you have what's called, for those who believe in religion, your Bibles and how it defined forgiveness. So please understand that your culture not only wrote your dictionary, it also wrote your Bibles. So again, stay with me because I want you to understand what the struggle is, why you struggle, why it's hard, what it really entails. You'd be like, well, why is this so hard for me to forgive? Have you ever been there? I forgive them. Why do I struggle? The truth is that you struggle because you have not been told the truth. And when something is not told to you as truth, therefore you struggle. Therefore it's hard. Do you understand that? Okay, so let me get to it. And give me just one moment. I do have notes and I do refer to these notes. So I don't want to forget to hit on the points that I want to help you to understand in this video so that you can understand what the struggle is, the lies you've been told about forgiveness, and what true forgiveness is. Okay, stick with me. Alrighty. Okay. So I want to hit on forgiveness. Remember, I said there are three words: for, give, and ness. Well, let's get to the dictionary. A lot of times we think we know what the word forgiveness means. We'll say things like, "Oh, I'll just forget about it." Child, I'm not perfect. I'll just forget what they do. I'll just forget about it. And then as soon as something awful happens to the person that you perceive you need to forgive, in your hearts you parade. Why do you parade? Because did you truly forgive? Again, let's understand what we've been taught and told in our culture. Okay? So let's get to the word for. I went to the dictionary because I wanted to look up the word for, because it's a prefix before the word give. So it says in support or favor of a person or a policy. That's what the word for means. And prefix means in support of. Give. These are the definitions that the dictionary gives for the word gives. Freely transfer the possession of something. To freely transfer. Listen to it, because a lot of times, again, we think we know what we're talking about. We've been told things over and over and over, and we say this because they say this. We say this because our church say this. We say this because people say this. We say this because our parents say this. But a lot of times they said that because somebody else said that. They said that because somebody else said that, and not because they truly understand what they are doing or the action that they're trying to take. So to freely transfer the possession of something to someone, to hand over. Another definition: to cause or allow someone or something to have something, especially something abstract, to provide or supply with. So this is what the word give means. You're taking something, whether it's abstract, whether it's a possession, whether it's a physical thing, and you're giving it to someone. And you're freely doing it. So peep game on these definitions. Now, another definition of give is to carry out or perform a specified action. Now, I want you to keep these keywords in mind. Freely give over something that belongs to you until another. Now, let's look up the word ness. Ness at the end of a word, which is the suffix, means to, this is what they say, and they say it's a noun, and it's ness. And it means the state of. So forgiveness is supposed to really be an action. You take an action, a thought of action to do something. But according to them, ness is a noun, and it is the state of something. So the reason why you need to really break that down, you may not think that's important, but you really need to break down this because it's very important. Because this is where the struggle lies. The struggle lies in you freely giving something to someone that you recognize is going to continue to do the same behavior time after time after time, and they're not willing to change. That is the struggle. See, that's why you got to break these words down. I'm going to give you an example. I walk into your home. I kill up 3 of your children. And I'm giving you an extreme example, and then I'm gonna give you more of a subtle example. I love to share with people. With the extremes, that's the easy part to ignore. But with the subtleties, it's not so easy. So I'm gonna give you an extreme. I walk into your home. I kill 3 of your children. I slaughter your husband, or if you or a husband, I slaughter your wife. I have no intent on changing. I laugh and mock you. I love that you're in pain. And guess what? You are to freely transfer unto me your love, your forgiveness, your let go of it all, your everything, and do not punish me. You are to forgive me. You are to transfer over to me forgiveness. You are to let it all go. And not only are you to let it all go, you, according to the dictionary, the suffix ness, are to be in a state of mind on this. Well, you and I know you would struggle with that, because it's not that you necessarily intended to hate the person. It's not that you necessarily intended to not forgive the person. It's not that you necessarily any of those things. You didn't even expect to meet the person. This person has walked into your life and caused you devastation. This person has no intent on changing. This person laughs and mocks you and says it was their purpose to destroy you. Now you have to go live within your life, and you have to deal with the pain. You're going to have to deal with all that it's going to take to overcome that moment. And you're trying to understand, why should I forgive this person? Right? Now let's go to a subtlety. Let's go to a subtlety. So a subtlety is something like this. You go to church, open arms, meet new people, thinking this is the best piece of cake you've had since sliced bread. This is more of a subtlety. And you're going to this church, and in your mind, this is the path that God has you on, because this is what you've been told, and you don't know any better, and you're not consciously aware. You don't even know that you're about to go through some things that is going to be worser than you just waking up one day and somebody robbing your house. You don't even know that your mind and your spirit is about to go through some of the worst things possible. You don't know, because you're being deceived. You're being lied to. You're being manipulated with scripture. All kinds of things. People are abusing you. People are subjecting you to abuse. And you are constantly being manipulated with the word forgiveness. You're constantly being manipulated with Jesus. You're constantly being manipulated with scriptures that you need to forgive your brother. Who's without fault? Who's without sin? What is wrong with you? How can you judge? It ain't like your life perfect. Don't make us dig into your life from when you were 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 30, 40. Don't make us come up with what you did yesterday. So you become confused. You become confounded. You become conflicted. And you begin to think in your mind, because of what happened to me when I was 15, 16, 17, 20 something, and I was ignorant, that you're supposed to be able to just do these unjust things to me, and you have no intention on changing. And as a matter of fact, you so have no intention on changing that it is your plot to make me look crazy, make me look like I'm the one that's psycho, and to prove to the world that it wasn't you all, that it was me. And I'm supposed to freely transfer unto you the possession of love to go before you. You understand? in support of, in favor of, transfer unto you my ability of affection, of love, of goodness, of not asking for justice in this lifetime against what you done. And not only that, I'm supposed to nest in it. I'm supposed to be in a state of mind in it. No wonder people struggle with forgiveness. You see, it's one thing for somebody to do something unto you, and it's done, and you recognize, oh, they trying to change. They wasn't trying to be like that. And you've had relationship with them. You've seen them do great things. I'm going to give you an example. I love to give examples. Years ago, my grandmother dated a man. My grandmother always told her grandchildren, she would bring us in there one by one and have a talk with us. And she would tell us, if a man or anyone ever touches you in the wrong space, you make sure, now we were little bitty kids, you make sure you come and tell me. You come and tell me. Tell me, share it with me. Don't be afraid. I don't care who they are. If they're a family member, if they're a friend, male or female, you make sure you communicate that with me. Now, my grandmother is the only person in my life that ever talked to me like that. Only one. Now, mind you, years had passed. My grandmother dated a man, and I will not state his name. And I'm going to tell you why later. She dated this man she dated for years. We all knew him. We loved him. We had fun with him. We enjoyed him. We understood him. And he was good to us. Do you understand what I'm saying? We had many barbecues. We had many family goings. And we just had moments of just being around the house. Seriously, just watching Super Bowls, watching games. We love this man. This man never hurt us, never harmed us, never did anything to try to destroy us. One day, though, as one was older, one day, and never forgetting what my grandmother taught us, she not knowing that she herself would one day be tested by the very words that she said with a man that she loved the most. Do you understand this? Understand what I'm trying to communicate with you. So this man, in whom we've had such great experiences with, we knew wasn't a bad man. He got filthy drunk one day. Filthy drunk. There was a outing that had happened. He got filthy drunk. And one day he acted out of character. He acted out of character. What ended up happening to that man? So as my grandmother was informed of his acting out of character, one thing I can say is that she kept her character. She asked him straight up, did you try to touch my granddaughter? You know what the brilliant thing was about this man? So I'm going to tell you about forgiveness. Forgiveness is beautiful, but it must be done right. When it's not done right, it's hocus pocus, it's deception, it's manipulation, it's control. And that's why I'm talking about it today. Because people try to understand, why do I struggle? Why is it so hard? What is going on? I'm going to get a little later to what your real struggle is, because that has to do with some more stuff. But stay with me on this journey of what I'm trying to communicate with you. She straight up asked him, did you violate my grandchild? You know what his answer was? This was his answer. Maxine, I don't know. I was so messed up. I probably did. And I'm sorry. This man did not hide. He did not go and try to make that person look mentally ill. He did not go and run around saying, oh, she's a liar. She's a liar. She's crazy. Or that person's crazy, or this and that. It's not what that person did. That person took responsibility for their action. That person took responsibility, even if they didn't intend it, and even if they didn't mean it. And the reason why we know that it wasn't intended or meant, because trust me, we've been around that person for years. See, when people genuinely, even though they've done one of the most embarrassing things of their life, when they genuinely come and say, I'm sorry, no, you did make it up. It really is my fault. I take responsibility, and I want you to know, be okay. Do you understand the transaction of forgiveness? Do you understand the truth of forgiveness? That's why no one blasts that man. That's why no one goes around trying to make him look bad. That's why no one wished ill will upon him, or had hatred feelings against him, or blah, 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 or whatever you want to call it. Because a man who had been good all those years, shared good experiences all those years, is the same man who was willing to admit his fault. How many people do such evil things to you, whether you're in church and you're going through abuse, whether you're being lied to, whether it's family members, whether it's all kind of stuff, and they are convinced that you the one crazy, you the one made it up, and you just need to forgive and forget about it. Well, what do you need to forgive if you the one crazy and made it up? See how conflicted and confused and confounded you become. One minute they saying you crazy and you a liar. The next minute they saying you need to forgive. The next minute they digging in your past trying to say, well, the reason why you like that is because that's from your past. It's like, no, my past didn't do that to me. You did that to me today or yesterday. It wasn't my past. And you see how they continue to conflict you and confound you. And then they will even convince you that you're holding on to something from 13 years ago, that it has nothing to do with them, and that the reason why it keeps happening to you because you're holding on to something from 13 years ago. So they can have the excuse to continue to abuse you, to misuse you, and lie to you, and deceive you. You see how the saga goes? Saga means story continues. No wonder people be conflicted. No wonder they be confounded. And there are many different ways that you can be conflicted or confounded. You can be conflicted or confounded on even what forgiveness is. People will try to make you stay in relationships, whether it's a church, whether it's a husband, whether it's with a family member, or whatever it may be. And you like, but I know that this situation is not good for me. But they're constantly brainwashing you as if it is. And they're telling you you're just holding on to unforgiveness. And your problem is that you haven't forgiven. And that's why you're suffering. And God is telling you to forgive. And you like, but this person hasn't changed. And they're continually doing this. And I'm looking at this. And to those who are weak. And listen, weak is nothing to laugh at. Because all of us have weak areas in our mind. It just depends on what it is. Some people weak behind people. Some people weak behind affection. Some people weak behind money. They'll do anything for money. Some people weak behind this or weak behind this. Some people weak in their thinking because they've been preyed on for so long. So to the weak, it's easy to manipulate them. It's easy to keep telling them this and telling them that and telling them this and telling them that. And they can clearly see that something is not right. Now, when it comes to the benefactor, and it's dealing with someone else, they can easily tell you, let that person go. God said, let that person go. But when it comes to them, and they're the ones that's doing it, oh, it's all in your head. You psychologically, something wrong with you. Do you understand how this game rolls? Do you understand why people struggle? To the benefactor or to the person who benefits, as long as it's someone else, it's easy to say, oh, we don't care about that person. Honey, let that person go. Honey, don't stay in that relationship. Honey, this and this and that. But when it has to do with them and they're the ones doing the wrong, then all of a sudden the psychology changes. It shifts. No wonder people are confused. No wonder they are confounded. because they are manipulated and they struggle with what to believe. They struggle with their own conscience, especially when you're being manipulated with religion and scriptures, because your utmost desire is that you want to obey God, is what they say. You want God to forgive you, so you better forgive another. This is the scriptures that are played upon you, just like tithing scriptures, just like any other scripture. But any scripture can be taken out of context and wielded to benefit a benefactor. Do you understand that? Just in case you didn't understand that, let me break that down for you. If I'm a pastor and I'm psychologically abusing you, and I'm mentally, emotionally abusing you, and I really don't like you, but I keep telling you that the Lord sent you here, and I keep trying to make you stay here because I'm afraid that you're going to leave outside of my church walls and you're going to say things about me and make me look bad. So I have to keep certain people here, even though I don't like them. But yet I'm psychologically abusing them. I'm emotionally abusing them. I'm mentally abusing them. One minute I'm acting like I'm preaching goodness to them. The next minute I'm speaking all kind of curses and things against them on the slide. You become confused and confounded and conflicted. And everything I tell you about forgiveness is to the benefit of me, not to the benefit of you, to the benefit of me. That's why you struggle. And you struggle to break free. And you struggle to say, this is not supposed to be happening. Because you want to obey this God. And it's really not God doing that. It's you being manipulated by mankind with scripture. Because again, any scripture can be taken out of the context to benefit any situation. Again, the struggle. People need to understand why they are struggling. Now, the reason why I call this the deception hustle, because it is twisted psychology. And it is deception that is eluded upon you into what you are made to think. You are made to think. You are made to deflect what you really need to forgive. And you are made to think what they want you to forgive. Say, for instance, your mother or someone in your life abused you. Say, for instance, when you were 5, 6, 7, 8 years old or something like that. They will, if someone has did any injustice against you in your current state, not when you was that age, in your current state, these people have the ability to dig into your past and convince you that you haven't forgiven something way out of your past. And that's why you're dealing with all the things that you're dealing with, to deflect away from that it was them that harmed you. You're not thinking about what mama did to you when you were 5, 6, 7, or daddy or uncle or cousin or best friend or teacher or this. You can't, honey, get real. And if you are exposing it, you're exposing it not because you haven't forgiven them. You care less about them. You're exposing it because you want people to understand the psychology of how people make. Say, for instance, you're talking about something that a teacher did to you. You're exposing something so that you can help the world understand that there are some teachers and principals that are so slick and vindictive that they could be hurting your children behind closed doors and you don't even know it. You're not talking about it because, oh, you want to expose all their sins, or oh, you have not forgiven them. That's the route they want you to think. And the struggle comes in with the bondage. Those people that are connected onto your body and to your form, and they constantly running this imagery through your mind. They constantly running through your mind what happened to you. They constantly running through your mind what was done to you. And you're angry, 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 angry. That's to destroy you. Now they're trying to use the event to destroy you. It's not that you haven't forgiven. They're trying to manipulate you with forgiveness and make you think you haven't forgiven. And they're running these events through your mind, and they're manipulating your spirit, and they constantly running these images, and they got you in states of bliss one moment, anger the next, and what they define as bipolar, by the way. So once you understand the practice of witchcraft and divination, manipulation, and control, then you understand what it is you really truly need to forgive. Or maybe not forgiveness, what you need to ask for justice against. Everybody thinks everything is about forgiveness. Some things is about justice. Even your own Bible say there's a time to love, time to hate, time to this, and a time to that. Some things is about justice. Some things is about, okay, certain people are not going to change. They don't want to change their ways. They don't want to stop lying to people. They don't want to stop manipulating them. They don't want to stop hurting them and harming them with their spirit. So some things is not about forgiving those types of people. Some things is about saying, look, this needs to be advocated for. This needs to be some justice. Somebody needs to step up and handle these things. Sometimes it's about justice because it needs to stop. The cycles need to stop. The things that are perpetrated need to stop. If somebody laying on top of your child, raping your child, you're going to sit there, oh, I forgive you. Do it 99 times. Jesus said, forgive my brother and sister. Are you crazy? No more than psychological abuse, spiritual abuse is supposed to be accepted as the same. So some things is truly about forgiveness. People make mistakes, people falter, people say wrong things, people do wrong things, but you know that that's not who they trying to be. You understand what I'm saying? You understand that, hey, you know, people get caught up, people fall, they got their own problems, their own situations, and you just excuse it. You forgive it. You freely transfer your affection. You understand? Some things is so brutal, so manipulative, so conniving that it's not about forgiveness sometimes. Sometimes it's about justice. And I don't mean you going out into the world and taking justice in your own hands, and an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. No, that's definitely don't do that, honey. Because you'll end up right where they want you at, a penitentiary. Okay? So, losing your own life. What I mean by justice is some things is not you staying in a situation and forgiving 99 times plus 99 more. Some things is about, you know what, that needs to be worked out. Because those people who continue to lie to people, continue to control people, continue to deceive people, have no intention on changing. And they so bent on having no intention on changing that they're convinced that they got to make you look like you're the one that's the problem, not them. So they will go through to great lengths to make you look crazy, to make you look unforgiving, to make you look like you're full of hate, to make you look like whatever it is they want you to look like. Those are the things you must take responsibility for, because you have to say, hey, you may be trying to influence my thought. You may be trying to influence my body, but I don't have to be that person. That's where you take responsibility, because what they're trying to do is use you to destroy you. It doesn't mean that you're supposed to sit in a situation and accept the situation and believe these lies about forgiveness. You have to understand what real forgiveness is. And real forgiveness is for people that truly, really didn't mean to harm you. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's really not their intention. It's not their intention to say something to just hurt you. And let me tell you how you will know. They won't fake with you. They won't manipulate you. They'll truly change. They'll be like, oh, that offends that person. They may not even say, please forgive me, but you will notice there'll be a change in them. They won't even do it no more. Why? Because that's true forgiveness. That's true understanding. Then you have manipulators. Girl, you need to forgive. You need to forget. And they constantly doing the same thing to you. You alone and you bitter and you this and you that. And they constantly trying to fool you. They constantly trying to snake you. They constantly trying to deceive you. That's a cause for justice. Now, even though you can't take justice into your own hand, you can ask this life for justice. Please deal with these type of people who have no intention on changing. And all they want to do is brainwash and deceive another and then hurt and harm another and bent on making it look like it's them. Because you have to be aware of those type of people. People say, well, if you forgive, it'll just all go away. You know that them spirits don't go away like that. You know that those people don't go away like that. Them people are trying to keep your energy level down, keep your spirit down, keep your mind down, keep you in bondage. You know they don't just disappear like abracadabra. Get real. Everybody knows that. And forgiveness is not really your issue. You care less about those people. You just want to be free from those people. And those people have connected themselves there. And that's the struggle. That's the bondage that you are going through. People call it bondage. That's what they call it, bondage. It's really people that are connected onto you with their spirit and energy, and they project in certain type of energy and stimuli toward you, and it affects you. And you have to be aware of that. And I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you really realize what it is that you need to forgive? Are you aware of what you truly need to forgive? If you've been living in this system and in this society long enough, are you really aware of what you truly need to forgive? I know you think you know what you need to forgive, but are you aware of what you need to forgive? You see, if somebody walks into your life and goes and cause you an incident, that's what you think you need to forgive, because you've been taught about the incident of cause and effect. Cause and effect. But do you not realize that when it comes to true forgiveness, what you really need to forgive is beyond what you even thought you needed to forgive? It's so much you need to forgive that you would spend your damn entire life forgiving if you didn't know how to take your collective senses and say, okay, you need to forgive your teachers for brainwashing you when you was little. You need to forgive your parents for brainwashing you because they was brainwashed too. You need to forgive your systems and your societies for taking control of your mind and your and your thoughts and lying to you and deceiving you. You need to forgive your churches and your religious organizations for practicing divination and deceiving you. There is so much that you need to forgive. Think about that. You got a whole entire system that when you came through the womb was already prepared to take you through the brainwashing measures. Didn't even want you to be you. Didn't even want you to be the best you. You was born into a system that was going to be so unfair that it would pick and choose who it won't wear, who it won't win, and tell the other people, baby, you. And then they would lie about a God as if a God was orchestrating and doing all these things. You were born into a system that was already going to slight you. That was already going to lie to you. That was already going to deceive you. And as you begin to wake up, gonna punish you if you're honest about it. You see, when you wasn't aware and you just laughing and talking and going through life, it seemed like everybody loved you, huh? You start becoming aware of some issues and you begin to get punished. And there's many different ways to punish you. You can be punished through extremes, but you can also be punished through subtleties, like taking your job away, like taking a certain level of position away from you. That's a subtlety. And then lying to you, saying God got something else better for you. That's a subtlety. And then you never see that something else that's supposed to be better. And then they give it to the position to someone that they wanted to have it in the first place. Someone that would comply with this system. Do you understand what you really need to forgive? You need to forgive a whole entire world that was bent on deceiving you, whether it was intentionally or unintentionally. That's what you need to forgive, whether you recognize it or not. And what you need to understand in your forgiveness is that a whole bunch of people are not going to change. They have no intentions on changing. They have no desire to change. They have no desire to stop deceiving humanity, stop manipulating humanity, stop controlling humanity. They have no desire. They will continue to propagate their plans. And in forgiveness, and forgiveness is just recognizing that's who they are. That's who they choose to be. But when you're being hurt and you're being harmed and you're being brutalized, no matter who it is, you understand forgiveness, but you also understand asking for justice, because you don't deserve to go through those things just because of somebody's beliefs. Do you understand that? Believe what you want to believe. You have no right to harm another because of what you believe, or to defraud another of their livelihood or their lives, or to kill them or to murder them or to terminate them or their families because of your beliefs. So a lot of people think that they know what they need to forgive. Oh, I need to forgive my mother because, when I was such and such, she did this. Oh, well, I need to forgive my teacher from such and such and such because I never forgave them. I've been carrying that for 20 something years. That's the psychology that they teach you. That's the deception that they manipulate you. Deflected toward that so that you cannot realize the system and the world that you live in. As a matter of fact, that teacher was just as brainwashed as you was. The world that you live in is deceptive above measure. And forgiveness runs deep. But sometimes when people choose to target you, choose to try to terminate you, choose to try to harm you because of their belief systems and they don't like you, then is it forgiveness or do you need to ask for justice? Because no one should be hurting you or harming you because of their belief system. A person wants you to be in a state of ness, in a state of just forgetting about it, forgiving it, and keep on and keep on and keep on while they constantly, bam, hitting you in the face, constantly, bam, trying to hurt you, constantly, bam, trying to take life away from you, constantly, bam, trying to keep you down, constantly, bam, trying to take stuff away from you, constantly, bam, and then all while they manipulating you and deceiving you and constantly telling you one thing over here, another thing over here, this and this and this and that, got you all confounded, confused, and conflicted. There's a reason you forgive, but there's also a reason for justice. Think about that one for a minute. I was watching a lot of court shows lately. And I would watch how these people would stand up so elaborately. I forgive you, but you still need to be punished. You killed my family. I forgive you. Those people were lying to themselves. Those people were asking for justice. Because if you truly forgive a person, you look at a person and say, hey, this is what you done. You really didn't mean to do it. If they really didn't mean to do it. And I don't want you to suffer. I don't want you to hurt. There's another definition of forgiveness that I was looking at. And that definition, it takes you into other words. And I want you to listen to these words. Again, a lot of times people don't look up words. So they really don't understand why they struggle with concepts and ideas. So as you looked up forgiveness, it was the action or process of forgiving or being forgiven, the attitude of someone who is willing to forgive other people. But then if you look up the what you call the synonyms of different words, you go into pardon, to show compassion or forgiveness for. Now, this is up under the synonym of have mercy on, to have mercy on someone, to show compassion or forgiveness to. Now, if you go to look up the word compassion, it's just following these links of words. It says sympathy and pity and concern for the sufferings or fortunes of another. Listen, I want you to listen to this because I want you to understand how when people think they're forgiven, they really not. And how when people think that they're guilty for asking for justice, you should never feel guilty for asking for justice when something is so wrong. And a person, people just don't want to change. They just want to keep hurting you and harming you. So it says compassion, sympathetic, pity, or concern for the sufferings or misfortunes of others. Now, when them people are standing up in that courtroom and they talking about, I forgive you, I have to forgive you because the Lord said forgive you. And then they turn around and tell the judge, I want you to give them the maximum sentence, knowing that they gonna suffer. They're really not asking for forgiveness. They're asking for justice. But they've been so controlled to think that I'm wrong if I ask for it that way. Now, some people blatant. They tell the truth. I want that sucker to eat bread and water and suffer all their damn life. You know, some people just honest with themselves. But I tend to find that a lot of religious people are very dishonest. I really do. The Lord told me. And if the judge turned around and said, well, since you forgive, and the Lord told you to forgive, we're going to pardon this man's sins. And we're going to let him go. Them suckers will lose their mind in the courthouse. Judge, what the hell you talking about? What the hell you mean? Because they really not talking about forgiveness. They're psyching themselves up. They really want justice. Because pardon, just in case I didn't tell you, according to the dictionary, it means to forgive or excuse a person for their error or offense. That means you let it go. You excuse it. You let them go. Let the judge say, okay, you forgive them and the Lord told you to forgive and the Lord told you to have mercy on their soul. Okay, I tell you what, then I'm just going to pardon their sins and what they did unto you, and I'm just going to let them go. They would turn around and fall out in that courtroom. Girl, they'll go up there and probably beat the judge up. They probably have to take the judge out somewhere. They be like, what the hell? What are you talking about? Because they are deceiving themselves. Or because they've been so taught that it's wrong to ask for justice. It's wrong to ask for a punishment against someone who has harmed you detrimentally. So they wrap it up in soliloquy of forgiveness. But that's really not what they mean. So understand why you struggle with forgiveness. Because there's so much manipulation and deceit wrapped around it. And people not taught the truth about it. And anything you're not taught the truth about, you lack understanding and judgment on, and you struggle. And when you're taught psychology, well, it hurts you more than it hurts them. Well, it's this and this and this and that. Well, it's this and this and this and that. What they really saying is, don't go ask for judgment against me. You know. Now let's get to the part where if you struggle in your mind and your thinking and in your body, those are attacks from people who like to play on the word forgiveness. Once you wake up about that, you understand that those are your jealous enemies and your attackers, and they use words and circumstances and events and situations, and they play upon you and prey upon you, and they manipulate stuff, and they attack you and they harm you, and then they have you in all that confusion, and you think you're struggling. And the truth is, that's just an attack upon your life. We all know that no matter what people say about their gods and their lords, they don't deliver like that. If it was that easy and that simple, everybody and mama be doing it. It doesn't deliver like that. So even if you do forgive people, or even if you do say whatever, even though you don't tolerate their behavior and you know their behavior is wrong, at the same time, you're going to have enemies that are attacking you, harming you, because they want to keep you thinking about it, going over it, all this kind of stuff. Because they want to paint this picture. Well, the reason why they're going through those attacks and the reason why they're going through this is because they're not forgiving, but they're really lying. That's the excuse they use to attack you. That's the excuse they use to come against you, because they haven't changed. And they're not going to change. And that's why there's a difference between asking for forgiveness and asking for justice. Forgiveness are for people who are willing to change. And you need to have mercy when people are willing to change, because they really didn't know, or some circumstance. You understand what I'm saying? Not them people who be going around faking time. I know. And they was all a part of it, and then sitting in the background still trying to demise your fall. Yeah. You know them folks, y'all. Wake up. You know what I'm talking about. They still be in the background trying to demise events in your life, so they can make you look crazy. They can make you look like it was you, not us. Those people. That's straight deception. That's straight wickedness. Those are people who are not willing to admit their faults. They got to keep orchestrating events. They're not willing to stop and say, this is wrong. Let me change. No. They are bent on hell on painting a picture about your life. So forgiveness is for people who deserves, listen, look at the word forgiveness again, freely transfer of your support and your favor. Because yes, you need forgiveness, they need forgiveness, we all do, we all falter. But there's a difference between that versus people trying to destroy you and harm you and do you in. You can sit up in your mind, I forgive you all day long. I forgive you. I forgive you. That ain't gonna stop them suckers from doing dirt. And that's why it's a time for justice and it's a time for forgiveness. And people unfortunately struggle because they're taught that you are wrong for asking for justice. We can do all the wrong we want to do. Who are you? You are wrong for asking for justice. And that's how those spirits play on you and manipulate you. But you go out there and do one little thing wrong and watch how they try to hammer you. Watch how they try to manipulate you. Watch how they try to control you. Watch how they talk about you. Watch how they gossip about you. Watch how... You see what I'm saying? So the thing is to stop letting people play the deception, forgiveness, hustle on your head. The con artistry. Forgiveness comes with awareness. Awareness comes with truth. Period. Y'all have a great one. I hope this helped you to understand what some of your conflict and your struggle is about. Not only do it comes from the misinformation you're given when you're being misinformed, it also comes from your attackers when they're attacking you in the mental and the spiritual realm. And yes, sometimes even in the physical. So you guys have a great one. Leave your comments below in the comments section. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And hey, hit the notification bell for the next upcoming video. Alrighty. Have a great one. And thank you for being here today at the Abike Speaks Show.